Hi everyone, I'm Marie and we are coming to you live from Living Felt because it's Happy Woolly Wednesday! Oh, happy Wednesday wherever you are. Today is a fantastic day. We have a very special guest on the show today and I can't wait for you to get to visit with her. Laura Ricks is here in the studio, and if you've taken a class from her, I know you're already excited, and if you haven't met her before, it's going to be a great time. So thank you everyone so much for chiming in and saying hello. Everything's happening over here in the live chat. We're watching you check in. It's so nice to see you. So hi to many of the usual suspects, our friends Brenda Hodges in California and Susan Cunningham in Iowa, Maureen Wells all the way in Ontario, Canada. Hi to Marjo in the Netherlands. I know it's very late there. Thank you all so much. Laura's in Tennessee and Cindy in North Carolina. Meredith in Florida. Always nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Scott Williams in New Jersey and Meg in Missouri, and everyone, thank you so much for being here today. So if you're new to the stream, welcome. You've fallen into our live show, Woolly Wednesday. If you're watching the replay, you get a chance to win prizes, and whether you're live or watching back. So comment in the live chat, ask questions, comment down below, chime in, let us know your favorite thing at the end of the show, and you get a chance to win prizes. So I'm going to give away a couple of prizes from our last show. Kimberly Czar was here. We shared her Christmas Elves, which is an upcoming class. So congratulations to Susan Foster and Jen DeMarco. You win a cute little kit, either our Ice Skater kit or our Mr. Fields kit. Mr. Fiddles. I'm all fieldy. So thank you all so much for joining us. We don't have show and tells today because we have Laura. Lots of show and tells, lots of fun. So grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee, maybe a snack, and get ready for a wonderful visit. But the show cannot be kicked off without a little funnies from our fairy in the field, the funny fairy Kayla.
Hi everyone, happy Woolly Wednesday. I hope you all had a great 4th of July, and I heard we got a Laura Ricks in the house, so woo! Hi Laura. I just wanted to pop in real quick and share some funniness with you for the week. So I did have a quick question for you. Where do cows stay on vacation?
Where do cows stay on vacation?
They stay at the Moo-tel. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, Kayla. Can I just see a big round of hearts for Kayla, representing the entire fairy crew today, who have been running like crazy, packing orders for days because we've been having this big 15% off sale. If you don't know, you can check that out later, but stick with us around. Right now, I want to introduce you to, or reintroduce you to, if you've taken classes from her before, the very talented and lovely Laura Ricks. Yay! Come on in, Laura!
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me
Oh,
today.
so glad to have you back. So you want to visit for a little while?
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Let's settle in. Thanks, y'all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This is Laura Ricks of Emerald Hill Textiles. If you follow her on social, I hope you'll post in the chat and let people know that you do. If you've taken one of her classes, share that in the chat too. Laura's come all the way from Indiana.
Yep. Lafayette. Yep.
With her husband Dan,
Yes.
who I understand is watching right now.
Yes. He's already commented.
Hi,
in the
Dan.
comment section.
I haven't seen yet. So Laura you're just such a wonderful felt maker
Thank you.
and a very loved teacher in our school, Felting Tutorials. This is your 3rd time coming
Yes,
back
yeah.
to teach classes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we brought a couple of her past classes so you can just get a glimpse at some of the classes that she's taught before. Why don't we start with like the beginner one that you think?
The upward gaze
Yeah,
one. Okay.
yeah. This was filmed the last time Laura was here. This is called Upward Gaze, and it's just, we can show it right over here now. Yeah, there we go. Give it a little up close of that one. It looks so complex.
It does. It looks very layered and complex, and it looks detailed, but you do apply those details, but they're in very, very simple, easy to follow steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura makes everything really, really approachable. And This is, your processes are needle felting and wet felting.
Yep, it's a combination.
Which, right, and the wet felting portion you make highly approachable.
I do. I like to wet felt with a palm washboard.
Yep.
And I find that really, really approachable, even if you're a beginner. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you're a beginner. This is called Breakwater Beach. And one of the things I love about this class is, there we go. I can't keep it straight. Breakwater Beach. How fantastic the results are of the students who take this class.
Yeah, I
They
love
are
seeing those pictures come through. Yeah.
just
Great.
phenomenal. So these are two of Laura's classes, but that's not all.
No.
Yeah, you have a straight up landscape class.
Which crisp autumn day. Yeah.
Crisp Autumn Day. This class, she uses the same methods as far as needle felting and then wet felting and then coming back and usually adding some needle felting details. Yeah, all really, really popular classes. And this one, probably the most complex so far, is called, see if I can get in there on this one, Redbud Reflections.
Yeah.
Such a lovely scene with so much depth and so much detail. And so that's a little glimpse for you all. And I see a really fun comment. Melissa Wagner says, she's from Lafayette, Indiana, and says, I know you probably don't remember, but you were the one that's starting me on my felting journey by telling me about living felt.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for watching today, Melissa.
So sweet.
Yes.
So sweet. And I know that you share felting wherever you go. I think we brought another picture that's kind of representative of just your art in general. So tell us a little bit about this piece.
So this is one of the adaptations that, I've made since making Breakwater Beach, and I use a lot of the same techniques, so it's good for you to see that, like, after taking that class, it's really adaptable and you can create a different scene with a different mood. And I was able to just apply the same techniques I used in that class on this, like, really kind of moody beach scene. It was kind of like a gray day in South Carolina, and I just love the look of that, like, wave rolling in. Like, you can see kind of like that ridge.
It's like you're standing right there.
Yeah.
Just amazing. So much fun. Now, Laura, looking at all these pieces, we would all say, well, she studied art. She went to art school. But what's the truth of that?
No. I mean, like, I took, very basic art classes in high school. And that was about it. I drew all the time as a kid. I colored all the time as a kid. I've always, loved crafts and being creative. But I went to college for biology, and then I worked in a lab for about 18 years. And so, after I met my husband and I was able to, like, go part-time in the lab, I started, like, kind of stretching my wings with this type of thing. So, and I've just, like, backed my way out of the lab. And finally, last year, I, like, left completely.
Left completely.
Left completely. So from full-time to part-time to 2 days a week to 1 day a week. So finally, like...
And now you just make felt pictures and stuff.
And teach.
And teach. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know we love it. And your husband is really actually very supportive.
Yes.
He's with you on this trip.
My number one fan.
Yeah. And you guys have a really fun felt story as a family. So would you share that with us?
Yeah. So he, in a way, I guess, introduced me to this, but we, like, had no idea even really what was happening. So when we first met, the first time he came over to my house, he, like, went out and bought himself a new sweater, and it shed like crazy. So, like, he put it on, like, he left work, put it on, and came over, and, like, it was just dropping, like, wads of wool everywhere, like, leaving trails. And so, we would laugh about that for a long time afterwards because my whole house was just covered in, like, this fuzz. And so when he decided to propose to me, he wanted to make, like, a special little box. And he had, like, a local artist make a box out of that sweater. So she put it in, she, like, washed it, put it in the dryer. She was, like, trying to full it down.
Right.
And it fell apart. Like, it completely, like, fell apart. And
so what we see there is the sweater almost bare and, like, the pile of wool left behind.
Yeah, if he had, like, just kept wearing that at my house, I'm sure it would have all been on my floor. but he had this box made out of it. And then, he had 3 kids. I had 2 kids at the time, and so he had her put these like 5 little felt flowers on the top to represent each one of the kids. So, you know, at the time we had no idea of knowing how completely appropriate that was for me and for like what was to come in our lives.
That's so amazing. That's
Yeah.
the first felt in your family that
Yeah.
ended up being such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
That's
Very
so
cool.
fantastic. I love that story so much. Thank you, Dan. So sweet. And I think we have some other artworks of yours, and one piece that was really important for you. This is like a favorite piece. So tell us a little bit about this piece, Laura.
So this one's called Prophetstown Wildflowers, and at the time I had a show coming up, and I really wanted something in my booth that was like attention grabbing and that I felt like really displayed what I was capable of doing. So I really just stretched myself with this one, and it was the biggest piece I'd done at the time. I think it's like 34 inches by 17 inches or something like that. So it's really tall, and I just loved the way that it came out, and I actually like submitted it for the Fiber Art Now Excellence in Fibers edition.
So it was published.
And they included it a couple months ago.
In fact, it sold at that show, like
It
you said
sold,
before
yes.
noon. It
Yep.
sold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. It's so breathtaking, Laura. And I think that we have some detail photos here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just like the bark and some of the layering and the fibers, and then the texture from that fiber. And we'll talk about that fiber a little later on, because that's a fiber that I've included in one of my classes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So the yellow in there is something that you learned, you kept working with that same technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. And that piece magnificent, y'all. Like, I want to see in the chat. I know there's going to be questions in the chat. So how long did it take to finish that picture, and do you use photos as your inspiration? Some people are asking.
Yeah,
Thank
I always try to use a photo if I can. Usually it's one that I've taken, or it's like off of a copyright-free site. But
Right.
I really like using my own photos, and I think that's why I end up doing like skies and trees. I love to hike, so those are the photos that I take the most of. And
Right.
that one is at a state park that's really close to our house, at least like 15 minutes away, and it's called Prophetstown. And we were just hiking, and we came around this curve, and there were just all these beautiful flowers everywhere, these like black-eyed Susans. So
Gosh.
yeah, and it took me, I would say, like a couple weeks of real, like, I didn't have that long to go before the show, and I probably never would have started it if I knew how long it was going to take me, because in my head this was going to take me like 4 days.
Oh. Well, you just ended up giving more of yourself to the subject than you
Yes.
realized. And
Yes.
you said you wanted to see, this is what I love about pieces like this. So you wanted a piece that showed what you were capable of, but as a result, you realized what you were capable of.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Because
you hadn't gone there before.
No, I just hadn't ever pushed myself that far. And sometimes you do have to really start a project that, you're going to commit yourself to for a little while.
Right.
Like, you're going to focus on that, and so I was glad that I did it.
Yeah.
And I would like to start I'd really like to start another project like that soon, I think.
Oh,
yeah. I need
That
a
makes
new,
you feel
I
that
need
way.
like another stretched out
I
project.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Tammy Daniels says, what do you recommend starting off size-wise with a picture?
So like for a beginner, or for like,
Yeah,
like, what
if
do I
someone's saying
recommend
starting,
for someone?
yeah.
Like, I like the sizes that I use in my classes, like I would say like these hoops end up being like 12 inches across, or I think it depends on how intimidated you are by it. Like, if you're really intimidated by it, then start with like what you feel comfortable with. So if you feel like, starting with like a 5x5 square somehow gets rid of that intimidation for you,
Right.
then just do that. Like,
Right.
just do what you're gonna have fun with. If you feel like, oh, I don't want to make this a big piece and then it doesn't come out okay and I'm going to be so disappointed. Just start with something small and build up your confidence. And as you do, go bigger and bigger and bigger. So
yeah. That's great advice. And from another felt maker, I learned once also, like, if you have a really big subject or something, instead of trying to miniaturize it, take a slice of it. So take a slice out of it, like what would represent some of those colors or some of those details, or even if it looks abstract as a result of what you're creating, but you're sort of taking elements of what you're going to be doing. That's like your test piece, but it's a slice instead of...
Yeah, and that's
miniature.
That's great advice, because I guess it is important to point out too that sometimes miniaturizing something can almost be harder. Yeah. Like to get all those details into like a really small space. But I would say, just whatever you're least intimidated by. Right. Like whatever you find is most approachable and takes the fear out of that process for you, start there.
Start there. And which, so we have some other works which really speak to what you find inspiring. So you mentioned that you take a lot of pictures of skies and trees. So tell us about this piece.
So this one, my husband will be upset if I don't give him credit for this photo. Like he took this photo and he's always like, you credit me when you show that, right? Like, but of course he's kidding. But yeah, he took this from our backyard. Like there was this tree line and it was just this beautiful sunset, and I adapted it a little bit for my scene here. But yeah, I mean, he took this photo and it was just like such a gorgeous sunset that night, where like these layered clouds and everything just kind of was lit in layers from underneath, was like bright, vibrant orange. It was just gorgeous.
And we've all seen skies like that. The fact that I remember when you posted that, because that's like a sky any of us would think like, oh, that would be amazing to be able to make. And you did it. When I saw you tackled it, it was like I get to felt vicariously through you. Yeah. Now we have another one that's really striking.
Yes, very striking. Yeah, I'd wanted to do lightning for a long time. I'd never tried it before, and I had like a show coming up that was all skies. And so I thought that would be a fun one to try, and I really liked the way it came out.
Yeah, I love that you have the glow there. Like you really know that that's the one. That's the one that's sort of punching right now. Yeah. It's so beautiful, Laura. And now how big is that piece? Do you remember?
That one's probably... it's framed in a 16 by 20 frame, and it's got a couple inches around it. So I would say like 12 by 16 or so, something like that.
Just beautiful, just beautiful. Now we have one of my favorite pieces that you've made so far. I really love this piece. So tell us, what's the title of this piece, Laura?
Oh, I forget. I think it's like sunset over St. Helena Sound or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Which I've never been there, so I don't know. I just love it.
Another South Carolina picture. So or maybe it's sunrise over St. Helena Sound, because when we were on vacation, we were staying in a place that like it was a sunrise beach. So I would get up every morning and run out and like try to take photos of the sunrise so that I would have these inspiration pieces. And then, this is one of the pictures that I decided to like tackle in a big way.
It is a big way. So we're going to show you right now a scale. The picture shows the scale of this piece. Wow, Laura.
Yeah. So that was definitely the biggest thing. I had needle felted or wet felted, and I had to kind of like come up with contraptions to felt on and figure some things out. And like it was the first time I had ever had to do like my vinegar bath after wet felting in the actual bath.
Right.
In the actual bath, because I didn't have anything like big enough to put it in.
Right. And now what are the measurements of that piece? Although we get to see you next to it, what are the measurements?
I think it's about 40 inches across and maybe about 30 inches high, I would say. Yeah.
Just magnificent. In fact, we also have a photo of Laura making this picture there in your studio, which is just wonderful.
Yeah. And that easel that I'm working on is something that my husband helped me kind of rig up, and it's basically like a hard board leaning against a step stool, like a little step ladder that tilts back some. And so we drilled the holes through it and like zip tied it.
Yeah, I
so
love
that's
it.
like stool, and then we put like these big 40-pound weights on the steps so that it would like move around.
Nice, nice. Because
Yeah.
you and I talk, when you work on smaller things, you use a tabletop easel.
Yeah, like a little drafter's table or something
Yeah,
like that, like
they're-
a little pop-up.
They're like $20 from Hobby Lobby. They're, at least when I got mine, it was $20. Who knows now?
Yeah.
What the price anything
Yeah.
is. That was then. But anyway, yes. Okay, so some people are asking about displaying your work. So let's just talk a little bit about some things you frame, some things you don't. Just talk just a little bit about that.
Well, I used to actually work in like a framer's shop. I would help. I would go in and help out, and I actually kind of had like this arrangement with her where I could come in and like frame some of my things. Like just
Clever.
at cost of the
Sure.
supplies, and then in return I would help
Nice.
with little things that she needed help with. So I was able to learn a lot about framing working with her.
That's
and so
fabulous.
I go through like kind of complicated processes sometimes when I frame my pieces, but I really have like come to the point where I like framing them so that the edge shows. So I like putting them in a frame and leaving the edge exposed and kind of like floating them. And then I always try to cover them with museum quality glass so you don't have that glare.
And the UV.
And the UV protection is there. So that's how I like to frame my pieces. And I think it lets people really view them well. They can still see them because they have that glare protection. But then, like, if they're purchasing the piece, they have that, like, peace of mind of, like, I don't have to try to figure out how to clean this or take care of it or will it fade, all those things. Like, just using the museum glass seems to take away all those questions for people.
And now the sunset picture we just looked at was not behind glass because you got it up for the exhibit and had it exposed, but it was not already framed.
No, it was not already framed. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to put that in a frame or not.
Yeah.
Like, I've thought about getting like a big piece of like the plexi, the UV protected glare-free plexiglass that's kind of lightweight, but I just haven't decided yet. You guys can give me suggestions on what you think I should do.
If it were in my house, I'd probably want it behind the glass just so I knew that it could always be dust-free and always be protected.
There's a lot of peace of mind in that.
It probably would. But you know what's fun is, so we saw you working on that piece, but we also have some pictures of more pictures of your studio we'd like to share where Laura works. So tell us about this, Laura.
So that one is like just a wall of like my embroidery hoops. And I just needed a way to store them, so I like created like a visual display there. Painted the background black and put some hoops up on it.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. Okay, and then tell us about this next one is like your supply wall.
It's one of my supply walls. So I, put like a few little bookcases together and just tried to make them look pretty. I was at that point just really trying to create a space that I felt like happy and comfortable in, and I was trying to make everything just kind of look nice and neat where I was like comfortable in my space that I was working in. So I have a lot of my crafting supplies, scissors, ribbons, all kinds of stuff over there.
I love that. And now the wool wall.
Yeah, so the wool wall I designed so that I could cover up all the wool if I wanted, and I get a lot of sunlight in that room, so I do like being able to just kind of cover the wool. If it's like a sunny day, it's not going to fade out or whatever. But most of the time I leave it exposed.
Open. So here's the big reveal, y'all. Check out this wool wall.
Yeah.
All that. So that's all merino top. It kind of in the middle.
The merino top is in the middle just because that's what I use the most when I'm laying my designs out. So I like it to be handy. I like to be able to grab it. And I know I'm running, like I always get the question about like bugs and moths and all that kind of stuff. So I understand that it's risky business that I'm doing here by leaving my wool out like that. But I'm in that room all the time. Like I am, it's not like some forgotten corner of my home. So,
yeah, it's pristine, clean. I mean, the moth issue is more like in the closets. They like the dark places. They do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, as long as you're moving everything around. But we have a little detail shot of how she's marked her bin. So tell us about this, Laura. It's just dreamy.
Yeah. So I store all my little short fiber wools in these bins, but I always like to visually see those colors. Like I don't want to have to pull the tub out and dig through it to know what's in there. So I wanted a way to put like little swatches on there. And what I came up with, I don't know why I've done this forever, but like I just am so protective of my plastics. Like I feel so bad throwing plastic away. So like I had bought these disposable contact lenses, and I just felt like there would be something someday that I could do with these little lens cases. And so if you're a contact lens wearer, you might recognize what those are, but I saved all my little contact lens cases and I hot glued them to the fronts and
So
put like
fabulous.
a little swatch of wool in there and just taped it with like clear packing tape.
I love it. And so that's like all your batting is in those. Little,
Yep, and I've got them organized by color.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So everyone is like just kind of we have studio envy right now of your organization. So nice. Everyone's saying it's so organized. It's nice to see that organizing method. Oh my, OMG. Talk about inspiration. Let's see. Was it love the wool wall? I store my wool in round cheese boxes. Oh, that sounds really cute, Amy. Dawn says, how gorgeous. Yes, we all love it. I would love for Laura to come to my place and organize my room. Okay, next trip, we come to my house.
If I could get my desk to stay that neat looking all the time, that would be great. Yeah.
You gotta like bring all your toys out or whatever. And so Laura is here though. Laura has come back to film 2 more classes with multiple outcomes, really.
Yes.
And we're very excited to share these with you. And this one is, I think, a popular topic in general. And this one is called Lavender Fields. So tell us a little bit about this one, Laura.
Well, I wanted to pick a scene that had just like a lot of depth. And I wanted something that looked really complicated. How did I describe it? It's like I can give you simple techniques to create an anything but simple looking picture. So, I mean, it looks complicated, it looks hard, but I've really broken it down in a way that like you will be able to do the lines in these fields and get them right and create the sky and get that like depth in the background with your mountains. And the same fiber that I included in that Prophetstown wildflower scene to make those little yellow flowers, it's the same type of fiber that I use in this project. So you're going to learn how to do that. And once you do, I mean, it really opens you up to like a whole different way to approach your felted projects. It gives you a whole new texture to work with, and it's almost like a little 3D effect that you get. So,
right. And even that, so here you're going to learn how to make it so dynamic because you're building this fabulous foreground. The middle ground is accurate and rich, and you really push back the mountains so you get that atmospheric perspective. And she gives you techniques, like watching the techniques that Laura develops to teach these classes for me is just so inspiring and fun. And what I love about it is I know that you're really giving people like gems that they're going to take not only to make this picture, but they're going to use it in other pictures that they want to achieve as well.
That's the goal. That is the goal for sure. Yeah.
So this one is called Lavender Fields, and for those of you who are new to our school, it's called feltingtutorials.com. What it does take us a little time after somebody films things to get them produced. We have lots of classes in the can right now that we filmed a lot of classes this year, so they're still coming out. So this one is a little bit of way, but what you want to do is sign up in the school, set up your free account, take one of our free classes, or take another class in the interim, knowing that this is going to come later in the year, and just see how you like learning on the platform. And there's a class chat, so you get to ask questions of the teacher. You get to earn a badge when you finish, but if you make the thing, and share it in class chat, you can apply for your certificate and get an actual certificate of completion, which is really, really fun. So this is called Lavender Fields, but that's not all. Like the rest is like just as equally amazing, right? So let's look at her silhouette pine trees. We're going to pine tree silhouette.
Sunset silhouettes.
Here, I'll give you one.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
People in chat say they can smell the lavender from there.
These are just magnificent. So in this class, I'll just set it up for a second. So in this class, Laura is teaching you how to do these silhouettes, but in the class, she's going to take you all the way through one of them and then show you how to do the sky layouts for the other two. So tell us about these, Laura.
So, they all of them have your pine tree silhouettes up front, but yeah, I just give you different variations on colors. I give you a pretty cool technique for the stars. Like that one's gonna be a good, like the star technique I think is gonna be a hit. I sound cocky now.
It's called it's called Star Strands.
You are gonna love Star Strands.
Just the name Star Strands. I was like, I can't wait to see what this is all about. It was so fun and so clever. You are very clever. Innovative. You're very innovative. I like that.
Thank you. So I give, each one contains like kind of different elements. So a couple of them have stars, one has a moon, one has mountains. They all have the pine tree silhouettes. And once you've viewed all three, I think you have like just such a wide range of what you can do moving forward. So you can mix and match those color schemes, and you can do mountains and a moon, or stars and a moon, or stars and mountains and a moon. Like you can just, you can go kind of sparse with your trees, or you can really pile up your trees, and you can change the shapes of your trees. So you can use all kinds of different colors for your mountains. Like, I just think that once you learn just like a few basic things, like this is a go-to project for me when I'm feeling blocked or stuck or like, just intimidated and not knowing what to start next. I can do one of these and just sort of free my creativity up, I think. I think you're really going to appreciate the techniques. Why don't we show like one of these up close or two? Let's start with this one, and I'll just kind of hold it up so if I can get it straight so you can see it here. I just love how this, actually I think that camera doesn't show it as well. I think the color's a little off on this close-up. It doesn't quite capture it as much as the front, as much as, you want to go overhead? Sure. No, we can do that. Sure, let's do that. There you go. So you can see it a little bit better. It's so striking, Laura. They're so pretty. Everyone just has a feeling like we smell the clear mountain air as soon as we look at them. Yeah, and it uses a lot of fun embellishment fibers too. So like if that's something you've been wanting to try, this is a great way to do it.
And then let's look at this one here too. Yeah, look at that. This one is called Lullaby Sky. Oh, it's so
just
sweet.
Like a softer look to it.
Yeah.
And I added like a few more pine trees to that one. Still has the stars. So like I said, there's just variations that you can try and all kinds of ways to mix and match and change up the look of your scene.
Yeah. I think if you're comfortable needle felting, but you're a little intimidated about wet felting, what I want to tell you is that the way Laura takes you through this, it's so easy. It's like, I don't know. That's not the hard part. The wet felting's not the hard part. It's like just sealing it up and bringing everything all together and melding it all together. But you've already done the layout and the dry felting together. So the wet felting is actually really very easy. And she doesn't roll. So for anyone who doesn't like to roll, she doesn't roll. She uses the palm washboard. So if you don't really like rolling in the wet felting, then you'll love felting with Laura.
And if you just love your rolling, you could do it that way too.
You can roll too. Yeah. You can roll too. But I just love how you've really broken this down. She's going to give you templates. She's going to give you techniques, not just tips, but techniques that make this so easy to do, and I think it really cuts down the time frame required. It really cuts down the time frame required to make this piece, because you've developed techniques that make it replicatable.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah. And I like to say that, you know, like every time I do a show, I meet like people who are like, I can't even draw a stick figure. Like, this class is for like that person. Like, you, like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You will be able to do this. Like, even if you're part of that crowd that feels that way about yourself. I'm sure it's not true.
So Marjo says, does it need wet felting?
I think a little bit. I think it does a little bit. If you are so intimidated, like if you like really are not wanting to do the wet felting, I mean, you could go really bare bones with it. I think that you could get away with just like a very light wet felting on some of it.
The thing is, the fibers she uses are merino tops and embellishment fibers, because you're not using a fiber that's more I say commonly used for needle felting. That it's the wet felting that's going to blend everything together, meld everything together. But someone asked, is it like 50-50 wet felting and needle felting? But I think it's not.
No, I mean, and it varies. It varies, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a different process.
It's just it's just a part of the process. And in fact, so we filmed real time you wet felting one of these pieces. Oh no, the one was like the Lavender Fields, and I think the real time wet felting was 30 to 40 minutes. Real time wet felting, 30 to 40 minutes, and she spends a lot more time than that on the whole piece, and definitely more than double. So I'm gonna say it's like, it's a very small portion of the process. It's just a method to sort. It's like when you put the cake in the oven, you've got to put the cake in the oven. You can't just leave it in the pan. And the wet felting is going to transform what they've already laid down into make it look homogeneous all together. You got to bake it.
But and you can bake it in your own time though.
Sure.
You can bake it in your, like, wet felt in your own time. Like, if it, you know, if it's hard, you know, some people I know, it's like, you know, those processes seem hard on the joints, or like they don't know if they're strong enough. But like, if you get tired, just take a break. Like, you can take a break, you can come back to it. Like, it's not a huge part of the process.
And someone asked, what is a palm washboard? And a palm washboard is a tool developed by some Americans here. It's a patented washboard, so I know there's some kind of copies out there, but we have it actually up here on the set. I point to it over there. It's that little round thing, and it reminds me of the things you used to play air hockey with. The tool I played air hockey with. So it's a handheld tool that's got a very unique waffle pattern on the bottom, and you basically rub it. So like if you wash dishes with a scrub brush, in this case you felt by rubbing it with the palm washboard, and it doesn't take a lot of hand strength.
No, and there's a little bit of a weight to the tool itself,
it's
which
heavy-ish.
helps. Which helps.
And you just rest it on your project, and you felt with it. And we felt with it. We felted with it a few times on our YouTube channel, and show people kind of how to use it. Okay, so Karen's answering that question too. Let's see. Wet felting is like a firing pot, Nancy says. It is a transforming process. Yeah, I agree with you there. People are really liking your skies. Jennifer Caruth says, the dark sky is my favorite. Kim Pope says, it's going to be great fun.
Oh, good. It's going to be fun. It's a fun class, I think.
These are fun classes. The Lavender Fields class is really fun too. And you've done a lot of work, Laura, to bring these classes to people. You've done a lot of prep work, so I'm really in admiration of that, of all the effort you've put in to share what's your artwork and empower other people to do the same.
Empower is a good word. Like, that is what I want to do. Empower, encourage, try to break down that fear wall that people have for these things, and just show you that you can do it. You can do it.
And these are doable projects. There will be kits for these projects, or you can just go a la carte and supply your own or pick your own things out. But there will be kits for them. So again, they're a little ways away. You'll want to go ahead and register in the school. take one of the 2 or the free classes, get familiar with how we deliver the material. The free classes don't have the certificates and the class chat and all of that, but the paid classes do, and that's really fun, a fun way to interact. But you've been working so hard on all this, Laura. What's next for you? What's your next project that big you're gonna felt, do you think?
I think I want to tackle like a great big waterfall. So, something again that like just sort of stretches my skill level and like I have a waterfall scene in mind.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And now for anyone who's interested in Laura's art or you want to see more about her, you can follow her on social at Emerald Hill Textiles. As I mentioned, so she does a lot on Instagram. It's really fun to see her reels, and sometimes it's just the day in the life, and sometimes it's you cooking out in your studio all by yourself. Watch her clean up her studio or mess up her studio or make that big sunset and other stuff. But people can also buy your art. So tell us where they can buy your art.
So I'm a member of an art gallery in downtown Lafayette called Artist Own. So if you're in the Midwest or you're at all close to Lafayette, Indiana, that's a good place to go during business hours to just see some of my stuff. I have a couple of upcoming shows. Penrod Art Festival is in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's coming up in September. And then another show called Art on the Wabash is in September. That's in West Lafayette, Indiana. So I'll be there with my booth. I'd love to meet anybody that is local to those areas and wants to stop by and see me. So you'll have to look. I think it's September 10th and September 22nd or 23rd. I should. But if you Google those sites, they'll have information on the times and places and dates. So those are my next 2 shows coming up.
Very fun, very fun. And if you're interested to take Laura's classes or even to hear more from her, make sure that you go to our website, join our newsletter, and or join the school and set up your free student account. We send out a newsletter on Saturdays from Living Felt Felting Supplies, and less frequently from the school, but you'll get notified because we're talking about having you back as a guest on the show in the fall, and we'll talk about maybe some framing and mounting tips and stuff.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and we're even sort of at least entertaining the idea of a mixer of her students maybe in the spring or something. And
that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we could kind of come together, and that would be virtual mixer, so via Zoom and stuff, but you'd have to be her student in order to participate in that. Super fun. Any final questions for Laura?
Oh, we have some comments calling her the Monet of needle felting landscapes.
Very nice. Very nice.
A lot of interest in these, Laura. They are so happy, and Chris says that having the freedom to vary is very appealing to them.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Janine says, I've learned so much from Laura's other videos. She's really taught me how to do clouds. Now I love creating clouds without fear. Thanks, Laura.
Oh, that's so great.
That's so sweet.
Without fear, yes.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, what you can do is you go over to the school and there's little slideshows. It doesn't show everybody's creations, but it shows a lot of people who have taken the classes and what they've made as a result, and I promise you're going to be wowed, especially from I think we've seen the most from Breakwater Beach and Crisp Bottom Day. So many people who just bang, like straight out of the gate, they're making like crashing waves on the beach and wet sand and fantastic clouds.
Yeah, and that's the goal, is to just like start you from an advanced, like you get to skip all the trial and error and like all the frustration and just like jump right into like a more advanced scene and make that your starting point. So
very fun. Dawn says, so Dawn, my dear friend, I know you haven't met her, but she's going to make a point to go through Lafayette the next time she's driving through. I hope you do, Dawn. Dawn belongs to a similar artist collective where she is in Michigan too. Well, listen, y'all, we're really excited. Laura's classes are a couple of months out, so watch our Coming Soon page. We'll be posting them to the Coming Soon page. We're going to do our best to speed up our calendar. We have lots of new classes coming out this year. Lots of fantastic teachers have joined us, and we want to share them all with you. So get on the mailing lists on the site, join the school, take a free class, check it out. You can only get the kits if you take the class. The kits are just just fiber packs, and you've got to be a student in the class to be able to get them because we need enough for all the students.
Yeah.
So we're really excited. We have a little more to do, but Laura Rickshaw, follow her on social at Emerald Hill Textiles and say, hey, let her know you saw her right here on Woolly Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Always my pleasure, Laura. Okay, thanks, y'all. Make it a super great week. We'll be back next week with a fun little project for your summer, and we look forward to seeing you. Oh, we got prize to give away. Wait, I can't say bye. Do we have prize? You got names?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Jordan's got names. Oh, we're going to give away
Okay.
some prizes, Laura. I forget what I'm giving away now. I need to know. Oh, we have fiber packs. Yeah, we have some fiber packs. They're on the table out there. I almost forgot about the prizes. You win prizes. So we're going to give away prizes right now to 2 people in the live chat. And if you're watching the replay and you're still here, well, good for you. Then leave a comment down below. Let us know your favorite creation that Laura shared today or anything. Maybe if you've taken her classes, share for somebody else who's feeling a little intimidated. We're going to give away 2 prizes. The first one is to Eliza Murphy. And who do you have?
I have Amy Roberts.
There you go, Amy Roberts. Well, congratulations, y'all. You win either this Cool Tones Maori Bat Pack or a Merino Top Studio Pack, either of which actually remind me of some of your creations
Yes,
that she used today.
Very matching with that
Matchy,
today. Yes.
matchy. So congratulations to Amy and Eliza. That's all for this time, y'all. We'll see you next week on Woolly Wednesday.